it's Kaz. In this video, we're going to talk about editing analog media to mimic the texture that you achieved with the original, but using digital media. So let's get started. So you said that you used pastel, I believe. I think you also had some wet media here. The overall effect is great. And I can tell exactly where the digital media came in. So it came in here and here and here. And that's where we're seeing that fuzziness, which, as we discussed in the previous video, is a telltale sign of something that's digital and it looks unfinished. So my suggestion for this, when you have a unique texture like this, there are ways to find brushes that can mimic it. But a better bet is to take the texture you already have. So I would just use the lasso tool and find a good spot that's about right for the color that you want. And I'm going Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. So copy, paste. And then I'm just dragging it over, turning it, edit, free transform, hello. And then I'm just going to start filling in these spaces. Another thing that I'm going to use while I'm working on this is the clone tool. So the clone tool, if I'm using Alt here to capture a piece that I want to use, don't worry about the noise. We have muscle heads in the neighborhood. So I'm going to go ahead and tap here to grab what I want to use. As a muscle car goes by, oh yes, listen to the engine. And I'm just going to start filling this in. So this is a great way to start filling in the same exact texture that you already had. And you start to get something like that. And then you would just cut it out. Yeah, let's keep on working on that because that shape is questionable. Do not need to leave that shape there. All right, so you would just keep on working this through just like that. So I can show you here. This is a piece that I grabbed out. This is on low opacity right now, and you can play with opacity to see how well that's going to look. So it still looks a little fuzzy because I stretched it out, but it's basically just giving me something that I could come in here again with something like the clone tool and come in and draw over the top of it. Another thing you can do, see, look at that nice texture. So once we get a good swatch of texture, it makes it easier and easier and easier to use the clone tool. The thing you want to watch on the clone tool is that it doesn't start looking like, so if I kept on going like this, you would see it mimicking itself. So you don't want to create a moire pattern. You don't want to create a pattern here. You want to make sure that it looks random, like you originally applied the media. So those are things to watch out for and utilize. And I'm going to get rid of some of this, but also just show you another technique that you can use to get rid of that one. So all I did on this little swatch, so I take it down like that. You see how it's kind of like, it's smeared out because I stretched it. But if I select over the top of it, so this is where those unique brushes come in handy. For this, I just use a splatter brush. I think this is one of those Kyle's splatter brush. Yeah, something like Kyle's spatter brush, spatter bot tilt. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of, like this navy blue and come in here. That might be too spray-y. I might come down to the Supreme spatter. And I'm just going to start to play with textures and green until it starts looking more natural. And when I play with the opacity on that, I'm going to start to see that it's looking more and more natural all the time. And then I can just use the selection tool and come in here and cut out places where I don't want this to be. If I want to see, I'm going to go ahead and combine all these little bits together. Merge layers. And see what we have so far. So we have a nice little piece of cloth right here that I can start using. So if I come in here and drop back the opacity, then I'm going to see these areas. I'm going to see the outline. Maybe want to pull it out of here. I'm going to see what I need to cut out. Like, I don't think we need anything on that collar, so I'm going to cut the collar out. cut this collar out too. And then what happens when we make that full? So it's not perfect by any means, but it's starting to look a lot better than this color right here. That's kind of shimmery. So I just keep on working on that little piece right there and get my brushes in here. Maybe I select through here again and make a new layer. So we'll want something down here that's a little more dark. And I'm sure you can find other textural brushes that are gonna accomplish what we're doing with just a splatter brush. But I can still get the same kind of unique, original media feel that you had with your first original. So those are my suggestions for you. Another thing you can do is just take a picture. You might not want to do this for this since you have a unique texture, but you can take a picture of denim and drop it in the background, and or put it over the top and put a limited opacity layer on it, or play with some of these. So if I was doing something like that, then I would just come down this list and see which one was looking most like my original media. And I'd also be dropping back the opacity if I was using like a photograph piece of denim. Okay, so I've been working on this for just a little bit longer, and I just want to show you, I have this denim texture blocked in and filled in using Splatter Brush and also using the clone tool. But if you use levels, so if I come in here to levels and I just make this shadow, I drop the shadow down darker, and then I come back to here, and then I've used the mask tool. So the only part I wanted to show of this was this little part right here. So I filled that in, edit, fill white, so it shows that particular part of the levels I've used. So before, after, and you see how you get that nice drop there. And just with a few more details, all I did on the backpack was I selected this area, and I saw a color that was really similar in this ear. So I grabbed the clone tool, use Alt, and I just came in here and started filling this in. So we'd never know that it was ear that we're using as fabric material. We're just using the same texture and the same color to fill in that space. So already this is looking very much like your original, and you have original looking textures. Let me just flatten this out to give us a before after real quick. Merge layers. And so this is with some digital denim, and this is before. So that's how you do it. Of course, I missed some buttons and things, but that should give you a good idea how to accomplish a denim texture with digital media. Hope those tips help, and I'll talk to you later.